But while he's doing it, I want to thank Ben, thank 1435, thank Dave Sangle, who is a true pillar. And he has the white hair. I have no hair. He has the white hair to indicate that of this community for so many years. So as Dave mentioned, I've been sort of active in the community, helping out and nurturing this ecosystem for many, many years. Mostly the state, but the region as well. About 10 years ago, I was asking a colleague of mine who's a super successful entrepreneur who sold his company for maybe $200 million. And I said, and he was complaining about Boston being so active, so successful in building their ecosystem. And I said, what was the key? And he said, well, Jim, there was about 12 billionaires who all invested in the community, in the city. And they gave back. So they exited, gave back to the city, and that made the difference. And now, Boston is second to essentially Silicon Valley in a robust ecosystem with venture capital and a thriving life science and entrepreneurial community. And so for many years, I guess the past 10 years, I've been praying that we get a few billionaires to give back to the community. And so a lot of good things have been happening in the state recently, right? We've had a lot of programs from the EDA. We've had some great entrepreneurs and great exits. More recently, we've had CoreWeave, which is a very successful AI company, so-called hyperscaler. And so more recently, Ben and 1435 has come onto the scene to support the community. And so, however successful and wealthy they are one of those pillars that Dave mentioned that are giving back. And that's really important, right? Because we need 12 of them. So this is one we're starting. And there are others, but it's really comforting to know that there are entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, who are giving back to the community to create this virtuous cycle of entrepreneurship and investment in young people and old people to have a great output of ventures. So my talk is, I guess, it's been on my mind for a while, right? I've spoken about innovation. I used to run an entrepreneurship center for many years. And so I used to talk on Thomas Edison, right? He's the world's greatest innovator, right? And then I would talk about Steve Jobs. And in recent years, I've been thinking, I need to update this presentation, this talk, to add Elon Musk. And as I thought about all the similarities and correlations between them, a few things came to the fore. And so I'm going to talk about some of those, including, maybe their personality idiosyncrasies. And that's why the title is, Why Are the Greatest Innovators Such Assholes? And I don't want to explain that, but we're just so lucky to have them, right? We're so lucky to have Thomas Edison, right, over 100 years ago, doing his great work in this state primarily. And then, of course, we had Steve Jobs, again, computers, and a lot of other things. And then now Elon Musk. So I want to take us through that, just to sort of give a sense for, first of all, how lucky we are in so many ways to benefit from those legacies of particularly the first two were past, but also living in this era right now with Elon Musk. And so maybe it's okay to, I'm going to go back in time from let me see if this is not working. All right, there we go. Manual, this is wonderful. So this is from my old presentation, and it sort of talks about innovation in a way that, we talk about a light bulb, right, with Thomas Edison, but the reality was, it wasn't all about the light bulb. It was more about the ecosystem, the community, the electrical grid. And so he had this idea for electrical grid, and he needed a way to monetize it, right? Next slide. And so the light bulb was the key. I'll circle back to this. So this is sort of one of those two slides which I wanted to bring back, just to sort of highlight what innovation is. Next slide. And so there's a lot of definitions. We're not going to go through all this. Can't read it. But the one that I always like to use is useful invention, right? And there's a million inventions. Most of them are not useful. And so when you make something useful and you can commercialize it and make money from it, that means innovation. Next slide. Okay, and this is sort of just the innovation process, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next slide. So those are my 3 slides from my, well, no, this is the 4th. The types of innovation, we don't have to go through that. Fine, you guys can figure it. I can send you these slides. Next slide. And this is an old, this is weird. It's not bringing up, anyway. The point is, it's not bringing up my font sizes. That's horrible. Anyway, it's okay. These are industries, so when we talk about, when we talk about, this is blinking. Hello, testing. I want to make sure we get these mics up so that we, all right. Unless you can pick it up if I speak loudly enough.
We do pick you
Okay,
up.
fine. So, but I'll keep speaking to it just in case. So anyway, when we talk about the greatest entrepreneurs or innovators, both of them are ubiquitous, right? We talk about industries created or disrupted. I'm not going to go through all, well, we could go through all of them, but I could send you the deck. Electric power industry, which I just mentioned, recorded sound, motion picture, lighting, illumination, communications, finance, battery, energy, industries. Okay, so a lot of industries that he helped create. Next slide. But remember, it wasn't the light bulb he created. Everyone thinks that was what he created, but it wasn't. The light bulb was created like 70 years beforehand, right? Humphrey Davy, Warren, these are just a few, the inventors. But what he did was he improved it, right? And most innovation is about improvement, right? There's not many new ideas. Most new innovations are just a combination of old ideas, right? And so, but his was commercially viable, lasted long, blah, 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 blah. But it made it safe for lighting in the housing, right? Next slide. Actually, the one thing he did invite, which we use every day, is the word hello, okay? Before hello, he had some dispute with Graham Bell, who used to say the word ahoy, and he wanted to be distinguished because he was working on phonograph and communication. And so hello is really the greatest invention, or the most ubiquitous invention, because again, he didn't invent the light bulb, but he did invent the word hello. So just know that. Okay, Steve Jobs, a lot of industries created, others shaped. We're still figuring it, there's still legacy happening here. We'll see what happens next with Vision Pro. But, obviously computing, digital music players, blah, 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 blah. You know all this stuff. Next slide. So I really want to get to Q&A, right? So iPod, but they didn't invent the iPod, right? But you remember that this is from my old presentation. Here's an iPod Touch. Remember, 2001, they came out. 1997 was the first one. So they didn't invent it. They just refined it and create design, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, the iPhone, super duper success, right? But again, they weren't the first, right? 1994 was the first technical communicator, right? iPhone. Smartphone, right? And I have a fun story. When I was at the Entrepreneurship Center, I hosted the CTO from Nokia in 2006. I hosted him. I said, he was talking about the future of smartphones. And I said to him, what competitor are you most worried about, domestic or international? He said, I'm most worried about Motorola. And the following year, obviously, the iPhone came out. The iPhone came out, and obviously the demise of Nokia. happen and the rise of Apple. Next slide. All right, here we go. Oh my God, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so Elon Musk. All right, now you're looking at these, right? You're looking, this is like insane. Look at that list. It's humongous. You cannot read it, it's so big. And I didn't want to put on 2 slides, I need to put on 1 slide. Again, I can send this all to you, but obviously electric vehicles, rockets, Starlink, blah, blah, blah. Robots are the next big thing, Neuralink, whatever. But, so next, again, he didn't invent most of this, right? He just refined it and made some world-changing innovations. Again, this is from 1901, Thomas Edison, right? Had an electric vehicle. This is not new. But he was helpful in shaping the industry, much like Elon Musk is today. But remember, the first EV was 70 years earlier in 1828. First electric vehicle. Okay, we've come a long way. Next. That's almost 200 years, right? Where we are today. One more disruptive innovation. This is really, this has been on my mind, right? This is something we may not think about innovation, or disruption, but we have to, right? He leveraged a platform, contributed like almost $300 million, right? But he also leveraged Twitter to essentially tip this last election in the favor of his candidate, right? So it was really 8 to 20 billion worth of influence value. That's quite a ChatGPT. So, but that's, I think we cannot not sort of highlight that when we talk about innovation and talk about impact, right? And of course, Doge was, when I started thinking about this, I was thinking about I was going to highlight this as a huge success, but obviously it's been a disruptive disaster. But, right, all that data that they sucked up, hopefully, our precious data, hopefully will not be used maliciously, but that could be worth $1 trillion. So that, again, even if it's maybe believing it's an innovation. Next slide. Okay, so did they really invent stuff? Okay, this is just sort of re-emphasizing what I just said. Thomas Edison, no. Steve Jobs, no. Elon Musk, no. They did some other stuff, but maybe not this. Were their parents immigrants or were they themselves, right? I've spoken a lot about the importance of immigrants and innovation. It's really the one reason why our country is so successful, right? So most people don't know this. Thomas Edison's parents were from Canada. They were actually, he was sort of a rebel. He was an agitator. He was seeking asylum. So he was an asylum seeker, right? So when we talk about asylum seekers, right, we don't know who their sons will be or daughters will be. And so that's important. Steve Jobs has Syrian dad. And then obviously Elon Musk is from South Africa. Did they really leverage diversity? So this is a positive, right? As I mentioned, immigrants are really important. Thomas Edison had something called the muckers, diverse set of folks, right? They're all over the world, even some African Americans, which was not popular then. That was the reason he was so successful. All of the diverse teams make success. Steve Jobs with his evangelists, Elon Musk with his groupies. Okay, next. Did they create ecosystems? Yes, right? This is Thomas Edison, the first research lab ecosystem was so critical, of course, the electrical grid. Steve Jobs, iOS, walled gardens, subscriptions. Subscriptions are going to be the key to Apple's future, obviously, where they get most of the money. Elon Musk, energy, data, AI, social media. AI, especially that AI platform, is going to be so important to everything he creates going on now. So we have to think about those things. Okay, where they PR market, this is one of the most important things I want to drive home here, is that they were brilliant. They were brilliant, and because of their PR skills, that's one of the reasons their companies have been so successful. Next. Were they really big assholes? You know what, we're going to probably, yeah, I think they know. They definitely all were. And why were they, right? Why were they? I mean, so I did some research. I mean, I think I know this, but I did some additional research. And it's really because of daddy issues, right? So Thomas Edison's dad was an asshole, failed entrepreneur, and just very mean to him. And his mom died at 21, that didn't help. Steve Jobs, you know, he was given up for adoption. And it wasn't really, I think some people, it wasn't they were very young, they were college students. His dad, his girlfriend's dad was sort of Islamophobic and didn't want the kid. They wanted them to get married, which is, anyway, so those issues, that abandonment issue, again, I'm not blaming the dad, I'm blaming the girlfriend's dad. But anyway, Elon Musk, his dad was an asshole, right? So it's very evident. Okay, so really, anyway, daddy issues. We were going to do, this is weird. We were going to do a polling thing, but I just wanted, there's one slide missing. I'm going to just talk it through. Actually, it's not missing. My sheet's right here. There's one special mention I want to make here about an innovator. And I want to see if you can guess who I'm talking about. Was he an immigrant? No, but his mother was. Did he invent stuff? Much like the others, no. Did he leverage diversity? Yep, in his personal and professional life. Did he create an ecosystem? Yes. Was he a marketing and PR genius? 100%. Did he have a horrible father? Yes. Is he an asshole? Who am I talking about?
Could be anybody.
Who?
It could be anybody.
Could be anybody.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
Who? Come on, you gotta guess.
Bezos.
No. You know, Bezos is not an asshole, even though, because he went to Princeton. And most Princeton graduates are.
What a homer.
Repeat the list again.
All right, the list is, was he an immigrant? No, but his mother was an immigrant from Scotland or something. Did he invent stuff? No. Did he leverage diversity? Yes, in his personal and professional life. Did he create an ecosystem or a platform? Yes. Was he a marketing or is he a marketing genius? Yes. Did he have a horrible father? Yes. Is he an asshole?
Trump.
Holy shit, yes, these guys are smart.
All right.
All right, Donald Trump. But think about that just for a second. Was able to grasp the most important, most powerful job in the world because of PR marketing, right? Mostly, right? PR marketing. Just think about that for a second. That is a disruptive innovation. That is a disruptive innovation. As much as you like them or don't like them, it doesn't matter. You have to respect what he was able to do, mostly with PR, creating a platform. Think about that for a second. Anyway, so who's the greatest innovator? Okay, so I've just given you a list of, let's just say 3 greatest innovators. Who is the greatest innovators? Thomas Edison, raise your hand. Okay, Steve Jobs, raise your hand. Okay, Elon Musk. Okay, that's pretty even, but I think it's probably Elon is fine. Okay, next slide. Now, who is the biggest asshole out of all of this? Okay, now again, I gave you some information. Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. All right, next slide. Next slide. And then next slide, we know this. The next slide, we're not going to do that. Because you never know who's listening. All right, so takeaways, right? If you've had a challenging childhood, you need to leverage that resilience, right? We can't predict, or it's not our fault where we're born into, right? But you know what's interesting is that there's some data, anecdotal data mostly, that some VCs look for entrepreneurs who have gone through ups and downs and have had to be resilient, because that is an indicator of success. Regardless of your industry, you need to be able to promote. So one thing we learned right today was, if you can do PR well, you can promote yourself or your ideas well, you have a greater chance of being successful. Ecosystem, same thing, right? Think about your own community. You're not going to build the electrical grid, but you can build your own strong network. Reputation matters more than ever before. Your reputation and your brand matters, particularly in this AI world. The important thing is to protect that brand, because now with deepfakes, anyone can destroy it with the push of a button. Try not to be an asshole. nice guys don't really finish last. Okay, that's it. And this is my LinkedIn, but let's just do Q&A. If we have time, Dave.
Yeah, we can take just a couple of questions. Anybody?
All right. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.